Hey, welcome back everybody. Jeff Frick here, coming to you from the Egen Lounge, House of Blues in Mandalay Bay. We're at Google Cloud Next with I think about 25,000 people talking about nothing but agentic AI, and now they're doing a keynote multi-agent agentic AI. So it's a crazy and fast-moving world. So we're excited to have our next guest who's on the front lines getting his hand dirty and can tell us what's really happening. So welcoming in our next guest, he's Rob Schmit, Principal Architect at Egen. Rob, great to see you.
Great to see you too, Jeff.
So it seems like only yesterday we all kind of discovered Gemini, and then suddenly there was chatbots, a couple years ago, and now this agentic AI, giving these things the right to take action for us. From your point of view, how do you see this evolution kind of historically into where we've been and where we've gotten today? And oh my gosh, I sure hope people got their data organized during that last big data phase 10 years ago.
Hope so. It's been a wild ride over the past, I would say since 2023 to now, and just seeing the evolution of what we've been able to do and the capabilities as the models improve. And I think also like our ideas about what to put the AI to use for changes over time as we kind of experience. So it's just the pace of innovation and the things that we're able to do now. I think everybody kind of saw at Christmas of the past year, like everybody went, oh wow, like this could really do some stuff now.
Right.
So it kind of felt like we broke out of that pilot POC era that a lot of folks were in, where they're playing with stuff. And I think playing with stuff is a vitally important thing for enterprises to do, because a lot of and you see it all over the place. A lot of people get crystallized, or they're crystallized in that 2023, 2024 era of Gen AI, right? Where they're used to, they went to ChatGPT, they went to Gemini or Bard at that time, they went to Claude, and they're like, well, I tried to do a thing and it was only okay, right? Like people get stuck there, because, and then they walk away from it and they don't pick it up again. And then it's really important that you keep picking the tools up and keep trying them and trying to see where the capabilities are, because that's how you learn how to do the integration. It's how you figure out that oh no, now I can delegate something from that I could not do before, right? Now I can hand this off to an AI to take care of me. Now I can have it write that brief for me. Now I can have it do that research for me. Now I can have it book that plane flight for me if you're really living on the edge out there. All that stuff has really crystallized, I think, over the past 6 months.
How much do you think of it as kind of the non-deterministic nature of Gen AI versus deterministic? Because when a lot of people are first getting introduced, the concept is a tool, right? You got to use a tool, it's a new tool. And the one I always go to is it's a calculator. Well, unfortunately, the difference is a calculator, the square roots never change. These things by design are not deterministic. So do you think that's been part of the adoption program, or people kind of understanding that it's probabilities, not absolutes?
It's in my opinion, it's art and science, right? And for the past, I'll say 50 years of everybody working and using computers, we've expected that I put this in, I get this answer, it's the same, it's deterministic, right? So everyone learning to adjust to this world where, well, it might not be the same answer, right? It might be variations of the same answer. Correctness and how to do that stuff it's definitely an adjustment, and you see that all over the place. Fortunately at Egen, we've had the privilege of getting to roll out some pretty large solutions that have AI baked into them, and we've learned a lot over the years about what you need to do this correctly,
right,
and to do it safely and to do it efficiently. And I transparently, it's just work. It's legwork. You gotta run it down. You gotta build those evaluations. You gotta do the math to figure out all right, well, here's my test data set and here's my evaluations, and when I put them in, because and it's an important thing for people to understand. I talk a lot with customers about muscles. What are the muscles you need to build to do this stuff? Because if you want to build a model and you need our help to do it, great, that's awesome. But you need to understand what goes into doing this and why we do the things we do, so that you can do the next one, or you understand when it breaks, because the models are going to change. the technology is going to change. Like all this is going to happen, and you need to be able to redo that, so that you can A, improve, B, make sure you're doing it safely, and then C, like adapt to the new models as they roll off the platform. Right.
You have so many great lines. One of your great lines, and you talked about, for all technology, planning ahead. What's your on-ramp, what's your off-ramp, and your great line I wrote down, today's code pushes tomorrow's technical debt.
Yep.
So, really getting ahead of the curve and thinking about the architecture, the structure, how things are connected. And you've also mentioned some new technologies that make that easy. This data mesh approach, in terms of not having to stitch every single thing together to every single thing. So I wonder if you can share kind of some of these newer or more evolved data techniques on the back that make this thing more possible.
Yeah, it all comes down to data, right? And whether you're training models yourself, right, or you're using them, it still comes down to the data. And your ability to use that data and have the data captured for your use cases is going to determine how effective you are able to be with AI, right? So a data mesh approach, is a way of not only thinking about it, a technology, but also your organization, right? And how your organization approaches data and how your organization catalogs, uses, and provides data, right? For the majority of my career, I spent in data engineering. So when we have like central, and for years, like we had the central data warehouse,
right.
We had our cubes.
The promise of
we had
enterprise knowledge base,
the
right?
the glory that was capable, like, right? For a brief period of time.
Let's go Hadoop.
Yeah, we created a lot of shareholder value, though. Like we had centralized data teams, and it very quickly became apparent once we were dealing with significant, like in the early OOs and 2010 timeframe, like most people had gigabytes of data, right? I remember the first time we had a petabyte data warehouse in my career, and it was like, holy crap, like wow, and now that's like the norm, right? So when you have all of this data coming at you in various formats and velocities and with different hooks and constraints and cleanliness and sanitation and all that stuff, like having a central data team and a central data warehouse that you transform everything into, it just becomes a bottleneck, right? And so, a lot, like one of the things, and with a number of our customers, we built these things out where it's just like, you could see, because of their business, that it's like central data warehouse is just not going to work.
Right.
It's painful. It's organizationally hard to do. It's hard to get talent for it. Like there's a lot of things that go against it. But if you start to federate that stuff, right? And I think that's the big thing of data mesh. It's not like people hear about it and they get a little like antsy about stuff, but like we've been building microservices for 20 years, right?
Right.
We know it works. We know small teams that are single threaded on a particular API, and they know it and they own the architecture soup to nuts. We know that works, right? We've seen it work. It's in practice. It works across the board. It's safe. It's sustainable. Teams are able to handle, and they might run 2 or 3 APIs. Like, like it all depends, right? But we don't do that for data for the most part for some reason. No, there's a bunch of analysts. They all sit in one section of the org. They're all like, what do they have to do? Like, well, it's like, go build me this sales report. Like, what do? They start from scratch. They have to go research the domain. They have to go understand, like, oh, here's all the data sources. Oh, and here's how that one sucks. And I got to figure out how to fix that. And then they write cleanliness scripts and organization scripts. Again, they build their own version of the data. So it becomes, like...
Copied again, another copy, right?
It becomes Jeff's sales report.
Right.
One,
my laptop,
one copy, like final underscore, exclamation point, do not copy,
final.
like V8, like 2022, like .xlsx, like that's what you get. And it's like, why are we doing that?
Right.
Like it's insane for everybody. So, the model that we find works, and it works really, really well, is when you federate that responsibility for the data to the teams that actually control the source, right? The team that builds the API should provide that data out to the organization in a cleanly format, right? It should be consumable, it should be discoverable, it should be able to be used by everybody else who's going to want that stuff. right? And high-performing organizations do that,
Right.
And so it kind of it's flipping the model on its head.
It's awesome. So, and what it also then enables is these faster prototyping things, right? Because you can get access to whatever the amount that you need without having to rip out the guts or reorchestrate all the stuff on the back end.
Yeah, I mean, one of the worst things, like as a data engineer, one of the worst things for me to have to go do was like have to go to like one of my source system teams and be like, hey, I need you to add a field to this, right? Like, because then you're like, oh, now I got to fight with them on their backlog. I got to get this prioritized. I got to do all that stuff. And it's just so I can make this report work, like kind of stuff. Like, it's never a good experience for anybody, right? It's just.
Well, and too, you said it's another opportunity for the AI to do all that nasty, ugly cleansing and consolidating 100%. And organizing. 100%. So I think too, a lot of people, especially like on the development side, there's stuff besides core code developing that are opportunities to improve the developer experience and get more code out the door.
100%. Like, you know, like the internal like eGen joke we all have is that, you know, Aleem, our CEO, is like, what was our revenue last month? And it's like, oh, well, you got to look at like 4 spreadsheets and a Salesforce dashboard and like a bunch of that stuff. And it's like, man, like why? Like this should be a question he should just ask Gemini,
right?
Like that kind of stuff. So we've set about solving that stuff,
right?
And I think that's like the opportunity. If your data is well curated, you have a good constitution, you have a good agreement. It's a contract. It's just like an API, right? And if you have a good contract with that stuff, AI will have a much better time and a more accurate answer accessing that data at that point. And that's really where you start to see, you know, a lot of people think about like, well, delegation and how do I get the AI to do stuff for me, right? Which is vitally important. But like getting you information is also one of the most important pieces. And that's, you know, like some of the stuff we see is like a lot of the work we do with like the Gemini enterprise side of things is to help people like just first figure out like how do you answer a question, right? We'll get to like update my Salesforce opportunity for me. Like we'll get to that. We'll get there. Like, but like let's figure out how we make this useful for you on a day-to-day basis, right? And a lot of that stuff. And having the data available that we can plug it in and it can talk to it and it can do whatever it needs to do. Like it's so important and it's so vital. And especially if you want your employees to actually use the stuff, and
because they need to have a positive experience. So
100%.
Let's shift gears. We could talk data till the cows come home, but let's talk a little bit about Gemini. You mentioned Gemini. We're here at Google Cloud Next.
Yeah.
What does having the power of a tool like Gemini do for you in terms of working with the customers and trying to get their vision realized?
Oh, I mean, it's an integral part of the workflow for me. One, researching, right? Understanding and being able to throw a bunch of documents or a bunch of architecture diagrams or all that stuff and be able to reasonably interrogate that in a nice, safe, secure way is vital to everything I do. Because, you know, like as a principal architect, I get thrown out of a helicopter into a jungle with a hunting knife and said, find your way home. And so having AI to like be the guide for that is really important. Like putting a repo, a code repository into it and be like, okay, like what's going on with this? Like it just helps me get my context right? You know, we talk a lot about managing AI context, but helps me get my context right with a client so that I can be like maximally effective for them. Like the goal is to provide value across the board, right? I want to leave clients in a better state than when I found them.
Right.
And so if I can do that faster, if I can get more information about stuff, an unfamiliar code base, their environment, their GCP environment, like if I can get those questions answered for me, it's a massive, because I don't have to ask people. I don't have to do interviews. I don't have to be like, hey, what's this thing?
Right.
Like,
it's so different. I mean, it was only just a couple of years ago that for me to apply this power to my data, I had to learn RAG, I had to learn all these other things, and now the context windows are so big and their multimedia consumption ability is so powerful, especially Gemini, because it's everything Google and YouTube and this and that, right? It's really changed everything. But so let's shift gears again and talk about customer implementations and customer projects.
Yeah.
What are the signs that these guys are going to be successful down the road? I can tell by what they're doing, right? Because it's people, process, technology, and it's usually not the technology is the problem. No. And then what are some of the red flags that you're just not going to be successful unless you get some of this stuff addressed?
Yeah, it's a change management thing
Right.
for the most part, right? And when I look at our clients and the things that we're doing and where they're accelerating, when people understand, like, and they're implementing a tool like Gemini Enterprise, or they're implementing their own assistant or their own AI use case, you have to understand the user's workflow, right? It's a big user experience journey,
Right.
and the closer you are, and the how quickly you can show them the wins that they're going to get coming out of it, will implement whether it gets picked up or it just gets left in the dustbin, right? So we try and, like, we really harp on with our clients, like, it's like, no, like, what do you want people to do with this? How is this going to make their day better? How are they going to get value out of the tool? Like, it's great that we got the connectors built. It's great that we got, they can do nano banana things, but like, what do you want them to do? Like, what is their data? So this person over here, like, what do they do? What's the thing that, like, stinks, that is, like, tedious and boring, and they don't want to do it, right? Or even looking in your own organization, what are the jobs that no one wants to do?
Right.
That's
right.
where you start,
Right.
Because nobody wants to do it. So, like, any movement there
is good.
is a win,
Right.
right? So that's where we tell people to start, and when they have a grasp of those things, it goes well, right? And when they don't have a grasp, they're just, like, going to launch a chatbot into the world.
Right.
It does not go well.
Right.
Right.
It's pretty interesting. As you said, if the experience and trial is not great, people don't come back.
Yeah.
And so, the focus there to make sure they get a positive experience when they
Yes.
do invest the time. Do you work with them in terms of the rollout and training
yeah.
and all that stuff?
Yep.
And what is kind of the sequence in terms of, okay, we got this great tech, we've tested it, we know they're going to get a good answer. On the people process side, what do you guys do to help make sure that the adoption is worth the investment that they put into your guys' services, as well as the licenses and this and that?
Yeah. So it's like, again, at a prior stage of my career, I worked for a medical record software company, and we used to have a phrase which was, if doctors don't use it, nothing else matters, right? And so we used to say Iduinum. It was the most awkward thing in the history of
Nurses. Don't forget the nurses.
Nurses, anybody. Like, but that's the idea. Like, if people aren't going to use it,
What's
like,
the point?
Yeah, who cares?
Right.
Why are we doing this? And so, like, on the enablement side, like, again, it's change management, right? You have to communicate. You have to tell them. You got to show them. Like, it's just like a good old 3-step sales cycle, right? Like, I'm going to tell you what I'm about to show you. I'm going to show you what I just told you, and then I'm going to reiterate what I just showed you and told you.
Right.
Again, a third time to do that, and you have to, like, move people through that, and it has to be structured in a way that it fits naturally into their day-to-day life.
Right.
And goes. So we've built automated versions of training. We have an onboarding agent, which we are using for Gemini Enterprise right now. Which is great, but we can use it for anything. Like, we could do Salesforce training on it. Like, it's an open-ended platform, but it sees your screen, it walks you through an exercise, it talks you through it in an audio format or a text format if you want to chat with it, and that's because, again, there's no amount of in-person or over-the-shoulder coaching we can give. We can't. You talk anything above 500 users, it's really hard to do that, right?
Right.
And
do you guys do you have training classes and all that stuff that you give over with the client and all that?
We do it. We've
I think group training is so important for people. Group training,
like cohorts. A thing that we found super effective in a lot of different scenarios, even outside of trainings, is this it's called the dojo model, where we have coaches and we have a cohort of people come through, and they're just there to work with them, like group of 10 people, right? And they work with them, and we go through whatever we're trying to implement, whatever they're trying to learn. And the idea with that is the way it works. The real, like, there's nothing. That's a workshop. Like, there's nothing unique or special about that.
Right.
But what you try to do is find the people who are, like, your power users, who are really good and, like, can communicate, and then you recruit them and you get them running the next dojo.
Right.
And it just scales. So that you're all of a sudden now, it's the only way that you can get, like, we've done cloud migrations that way, we've done data migrations that way, where it's like, no, we have to hit 100 app teams, right? And it's like, how are we going to do that in 6 months? Well, the only way to do it is to start small and just build this feedback loop, where then the people who just went through it and did their migration are helping the next cohort do their migration.
Right.
Because there's so much internal knowledge at an enterprise. There's ways of working, the way things happen at an enterprise, that as a third-party consultant or Google or whoever, like, we're never going to know that, right?
Right.
We can't know that coming in, but your people know it.
Right.
And so we need to turn that into the force multiplier
Right.
for a lot of folks. So it takes all kinds, right? There's no one shot solution that's going to be able to do all of the enablement across an organization. So you got to
hit them all. You got to do them all, right?
You got to do them all.
All right, Rob. Well, we could go forever, but unfortunately, we've got to let you get back to work.
Okay.
So I got to ask you the closing question is: what is the biggest kind of AI myth that you still see propagated out there within the context of client engagements when you walk in?
Oh. So enterprise, I would say it hallucinates too much still.
It hallucinates too much.
Yeah, people think it's like, oh, it's wrong. I'm like, that's a solvable problem.
But I think hallucinations are so important because for a lot of people, that's their exposure to the fact that it's not deterministic and it scares them. And so if they're not working probabilistically across many answers, it does scare us. So how do you address the hallucination issue when you're telling me to give this the power to click?
Yeah, well, it's a context management problem, right? And I think that's what a lot of the systems and a lot of everybody's experiences are like. Well, I said do this thing for me and it didn't do the thing for me, like right. And it's like, well, like would you give it? It's like, like
how much time do you invest in the prompt?
If I
2 minutes.
If you told me like, hey Rob, what's the weather going to be in Vegas at 3:00? I'd be like, I don't know. Like, I'm a human. Would you expect a human to get that answer right too with what you just told it to do? No. Like, so that sort of approach and realism is I think something that you see, but it's also a controllable problem. And I'm like, hey, by the way, if you think the labs aren't working on solving those problems, like they are.
Right.
Like, it's gotten so much better.
Right, so much better.
Over the past 2-3 years.
And it'll only get better, right?
And we have techniques to work on that too, right? Like, you can't just, you got to know what you got to know, right? Like, that's what I think people. So you still see that out there, but.
Well, Rob, thanks for sharing some of your knowledge out there on the front lines.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. The times they are changing, so
they are.
Keep moving.
Yeah.
All right, he's Rob, I'm Jeff. We're at the Aegin Lounge at Google Cloud Next at the House of Blues in Mandalay Bay. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time. Take care. Bye-bye.